I want you to take a second and visualize your resume, but not the one you have on LinkedIn.
Right.
I'm not talking about the document that says you're proficient in Excel or that you spearheaded a quarterly initiative. I'm talking about the internal one, the one you keep in the back of your head.
We often call this the life resume. It's sort of a mental filing cabinet where you store the strange things you've eaten, the terrifying things you've climbed.
And the times you've made a complete fool of yourself in a language you don't speak.
Exactly.
It's the checklist that proves you've actually been alive, not just employed. And today, we are diving deep into exactly that concept. This whole deep dive is titled The Art of New Experiences.
And we are looking at a really fascinating stack of sources that, I mean, on the surface, they might look like a totally random collection of travel logs and data points.
A very eclectic mix, yeah. We have dialogues between nervous travelers, a catalog of international cuisine that ranges from the safe to the spicy,
A checklist of exotic wildlife, and this is the one that honestly threw me for a loop, a historical brief on the game of hopscotch.
which turns out to be way more intense than anything I remember from recess.
Oh, yeah.
But we will get to that. When you layer all these sources together, they stop being random. They actually form a kind of roadmap for how human beings process novelty.
We're going to look at the psychology of the first time, the sensory science behind why some memories stick while others just fade, and the universal drive to just collect moments.
It's about moving from being a spectator in your own life to being an active participant.
Right.
So our mission today is pretty simple. We want to explore what happens when we step out of our comfort zone. From that initial anxiety of booking a ticket to a place where you don't speak the language.
To the thrill of rafting down a river.
So if you feel like your week has been a little too potato salad, and we will explain what that means in a minute, stick around. We are about to add some kimchi to your life.
I like the culinary metaphor. Let's dig in.
Okay, let's start with the hurdle that stops most people before they even leave the house. The anticipation, the anxiety. We have a case study here in the sources involving two people, Jenny and Scott.
And looking at the text, the dynamic is immediately clear, isn't it?
Totally. It's the classic novice versus veteran dynamic.
Right. The source establishes the stakes right away. Jenny is preparing for a trip to France this summer, and the key detail here is the frequency. It's my first time. She's at 0.
She has no data points for this. And you contrast that with Scott. He's the expert in the room. He says, I've been there twice. He even adds that he visited his uncle there just last summer.
So he has all this confidence. He's the been there, done that guy, and you can see the friction right away in their dialogue. Scott is trying to hype it up.
Tells her that's exciting, and you'll love France.
He's focusing entirely on the outcome. But Jenny's head is in a completely different place.
She is stuck on the logistics. She drops this confession that I think every single listener has felt at some point. She says, there's only one problem. I don't speak French.
And that is the pivot point. That one sentence shifts the whole thing from exciting adventure to potential embarrassment.
Yes.
It's the fear of social risk. I mean, when you don't speak the language, you lose your agency. You become dependent, almost like a child again. And for a competent adult, that's terrifying.
Oh, absolutely. It's the classic traveler's dilemma.
Yeah.
You want the experience of being in France. You want the Eiffel Tower, the croissants, all of it. But you don't want the awkwardness of the transaction.
You want the memory without the struggle. And looking at the source, notice the grammar here. It's subtle, but it's huge. They focus on the shift from be to ben.
Have you been there before?
Exactly. It implies the value is in the completion of the act. Scott has been. He's safe. He's got the trophy. Jenny just wants to be. She has to exist in the discomfort.
It's interesting that Scott's reassurance is just, you'll love France. He doesn't offer to teach her French. He doesn't say, oh, everyone speaks English. He just dismisses the fear because he's already on the other side of it.
That's what psychologists often call the curse of knowledge. Once you know something or once you've done something, it's almost impossible to remember what it felt like not to know it. Scott literally cannot process her anxiety because his brain has already rewritten the map of France as safe.
So for Jenny, the bravery isn't really about going to France.
Oh.
The bravery is being willing to be incompetent for a week.
Exactly. The life resume isn't built on things you are naturally good at. It's built on things you are willing to be bad at least for a little while, until you figured them out.
Speaking of being bad at things, or at least being unsure of things, let's pivot to the one area where we accumulate new experiences all the time.
Food.
Food.
The universal language. You don't need to speak French to eat a crepe.
Precisely. Now, The source material gives us a menu that is, frankly, all over the place, and I kind of love it. We're looking at fried noodles, potato salad, sushi ravioli.
Crepes, kimchi, tofu, and tacos. It's a real spectrum of risk, isn't it? On one end, you have the beige food.
Potato salad.
Yeah.
Ravioli.
Soft, predictable, comforting.
And on the other end, you've got the challenge food. Yeah. And we have 2 more case studies here, Kate and Andy. They're comparing their food resumes.
Right. So Kate is checking off the boxes. The source says she's eaten sushi and tacos.
Meanwhile, Andy, well, Andy is playing it a bit safer. His resume lists fried noodles and potato salad.
And listen, there is nothing wrong with potato salad. I want to go on record saying that.
Of course not.
But in the context of trying new things, it's a flat line. Your brain doesn't have to do any heavy lifting to process potato salad.
Compare that to sushi.
Sushi is a big psychological leap for a lot of people. It's raw fish. It deals with texture and temperature in a way that, Western palates aren't always used to. It requires a higher level of trust.
That's a great point. But here is where it gets really interesting. The source material includes this chant, literally a rhythmic chant about this exact topic.
Oh, I love this part.
It goes, have you ever eaten sushi? No, I haven't, but I'll try it tonight.
I'll try it tonight. That's the attitude.
It repeats for tacos, too. It's not, I might try it someday. I'll try it tonight. It completely removes the hesitation.
That immediacy is key. We often treat new experiences as these distant bucket list items. One day I'll go to Japan. One day I'll try kimchi.
Right.
The chance just collapses the timeline. It turns it from a fantasy into an action plan.
It removes the procrastination.
Yeah.
It's the difference between, I want to be a person who is open-minded about food, and I'm eating this right now.
And look at the specific pairings mentioned in the text. One of the sentences is, I've eaten crepes, I've never eaten kimchi.
Crepes and kimchi. That sounds like a very confused fusion restaurant.
It does, but think about what that represents. A crepe is French, soft, usually sweet or mild. It's safe.
Oh.
Kimchi is Korean fermented cabbage. It's spicy, it's sour, it's crunchy, it's funky. By putting those two in the same sentence, the source is suggesting that a well-rounded life resume requires range. You need the soft and the spicy.
It's about widening your palate. If you only stick to the potato salad side of the menu, you're missing out on the kimchi side of life.
Precisely. You need that contrast.
Okay, so we've booked the trip to France. We've eaten the spicy cabbage. Now we need to talk about what we were looking at. The source material shifts from the menu to the zoo.
We're talking wildlife, the collector's mindset again.
The list of animals here is just as diverse as the food. We've got crocodiles, ostriches, pandas, penguins, llamas, kangaroos, koalas, and hippopotamuses.
It's a very specific list of what biologists call charismatic megafauna. These aren't squirrels and pigeons.
No.
These are event animals. You don't just stumble upon a hippo.
And we see our friends Scott and Jenny back at it again, comparing notes. And it feels a little like a competition this time.
It definitely does. Scott puts his cards on the table. He has seen a crocodile and a penguin.
Strong opening hand. That implies travel to the tropics and the cold. But Jenny comes back with a panda, an ostrich, and a kangaroo.
Jenny wins on volume and rarity, I think. Pandas are notoriously hard to see in the wild.
But what stands out to me is the phrasing, I have seen a crocodile. It's almost like they are collecting trading cards, or Pokemon, or something.
That is exactly what it is. It's the gamification of nature. In the psychology of travel, we often treat sites as trophies. It's not necessarily about studying the animal's behavior or its habitat. It's about the binary state of seen versus not seen.
It's the checklist effect.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen a crocodile? Yes, I have. Check. Move on. Is that kind of shallow?
It can be. If you're just ticking boxes, you might be missing the actual experience. But on the flip side, that checklist is a powerful motivator. If Scott hadn't been motivated to see a penguin, he might never have gone to wherever he went.
It's true. The checklist gets you out the door.
It catalyzes the movement.
Speaking of movement in games,
Yeah.
this next part of our deep dive is honestly the most surprising thing I found in the sack. We need to talk about hopscotch.
Ah, yes. The history of the sidewalk game.
I just assumed hopscotch was, something kids did. Chalk on the pavement, toss a rock, hop around. But the source material drops some serious historical knowledge on us.
It says the game is ancient, and it links its origins to the ancient Romans.
Right. Roman soldiers needed to train for agility and footwork, but the scale, that's what shocked me.
This is the crazy part.
The source says the Roman hopscotch courts were 200 meters long.
200 meters, that's 2 football fields back to back.
Can you imagine Just a legion of Roman soldiers in full armor, shields, spears, hopping on one foot for 200 meters. That's not a game. That is a CrossFit workout from hell.
It really reframes the activity, doesn't it? What we see as a child's game started as military conditioning.
But the source also notes that the history is unclear. So there's some mystery there. And I love how the source breaks down the global variations. Because apparently hopscotch isn't the same everywhere.
No, it adapts. The source mentions Albania specifically. There, they don't just have a line of squares. It describes a square court with 9 small squares inside one big square.
So it's more of a grid.
It's a grid. And then you go to France, back to France again, and they have spiral hopscotch courts.
A spiral.
Right. Visually, think of a snail shell. You're hopping in a spiral towards the center. They even call it escargot sometimes.
So what does this tell us? We have soldiers hopping 200 meters, Albanian grids, and French snails.
It tells us about the universality of play. The core mechanic hopping balance rules is human, but the expression of it is cultural. So when you engage in a new experience, like playing hopscotch in another country, you're doing something familiar.
Hopping.
But in a completely new context, a spiral court. It bridges the gap.
It's like the potato salad versus the kimchi. It's still food, but the flavor profile is totally different.
Exactly. It anchors the new experience in something you already understand. It allows you to participate in a foreign culture without being totally lost, you know? You know the rules, even if the board looks different.
Okay, we have covered the anxiety, the food, the wildlife, and the history. Now I want to take us to the Grand Canyon. We have a travel blog here from John and Lisa.
And this is where we see all those elements come together in a single narrative. This is the synthesis.
So John and Lisa are in the USA at the Grand Canyon. And they aren't just looking at it from the rim. They are rafting the Colorado River.
Immersion. They aren't passive observers. They're participants. They aren't just looking at the postcard. They are in the postcard.
The blog describes the rapids as very rough and the experience as exciting. So you have that physical thrill, the adrenaline spike. But then they pivot to the evening. And this is where the sensory details in the source really pop for me.
What stood out to you?
The steak.
Of course.
The steak. No, but listen to how they describe it. The guides cook steaks over a campfire. The steak smelled and tasted delicious. It's simple, but think about that. You've just survived these rough rapids, you're adrenaline dumped, you're cold, you're wet, and then you get that primal smell of meat over a fire.
It grounds the memory. Olfactory memory smell is the strongest link to the brain. We call this a flashbulb memory. When you combine high emotional arousal, like the fear and fun of the rapids, with strong sensory input,
Like the smell of steak.
the brain locks that memory in. It becomes high definition.
They won't just remember the canyon, they'll remember the smell of the smoke and the taste of the dinner.
And then the visual, they say they're sleeping outside, and they write, "We can also see a lot of stars. We've never seen so many stars."
That phrase, "we've never seen so many stars," that just captures the essence of a new experience. It's that moment of awe.
It connects back to the wildlife checklist, doesn't it? I've seen a panda, I've seen a billion stars.
But it's deeper because it's combined with the physical sensation of the rafting and the taste of the food. It's a multisensory file in that life resume. That's why it's a deep dive experience for them, literally and figuratively.
It really shows that a new experience isn't just one thing. It's the cocktail of all these inputs. If you want to build a life resume that actually means something, you need to seek out that cocktail.
And it brings us back to a really interesting linguistic point found in the vocabulary section of our source stack.
Yeah.
I know a vocabulary section sounds boring, but this is actually profound.
Oh, the prefixes.
Yes, the source highlights the prefix un. It lists pairings. Friendly becomes unfriendly. Clear becomes unclear. Sure becomes unsure.
Simple grammar on the surface. But apply it to what we've discussed today. The process of seeking a new experience is voluntarily moving from the sure to the unsure.
I see where you're going. Jenny was unsure about her French.
Exactly. And the history of hopscotch is unclear. But by engaging with it, by reading about it or playing it, you make it clear. You're constantly trying to remove the
Or maybe you're embracing the you're stepping into the unknown.
Oh, that's the paradox. You have to step into the unsure to eventually say, yes, I have been there. You have to be uncomfortable to get the memory. Growth and true novelty only happens in the un.
That is a powerful way to look at it. We spend so much of our time trying to be sure of everything. We want the potato salad because we know exactly what it tastes like.
We want the resort where they speak English because we want the transaction to be clear.
But the magic happens when we order the kimchi, even if we are unsure if we'll like it.
Because once you eat it, you know.
Yeah.
And that disappears forever. You've added a line to the resume. You enter the state of known.
But you can't get there without passing through the discomfort first. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to turn this back to you, listening right now.
We've talked about Jenny's trip to France, the 200-meter Roman hopscotch, and the stars over the Colorado River.
We've looked at the checklists of food and animals. I want you to look at your own life resume. Not the one from 5 years ago. I'm talking about this week.
What is sitting in your have you ever column right now?
Maybe it's not rafting a major river. Maybe it's just eating tofu for the first time. Or finally figuring out the rules to a game you've never played. Maybe it's just ordering the thing on the menu you can't pronounce.
Or maybe it's just going somewhere where you feel a little bit unsure.
Whatever it is, identify it. And see if you can move it to the yes, I have column by the end of the week. Because as we learned from the chant, I'll try it tonight.
Don't wait, try it tonight.
Thanks for diving in with us. We'll catch you on the next one.